What's up, guys? All right. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, and that is saving your relationship without going to therapy. I find that this is a common thing amongst men. We all want to save relationships. We don't want to go to therapy. I see this happen. These divorces and relationship breakups happen all around me. To me, it's clear as day what to do to fix these relationships. And so today I'd like to share with you my opinion on how to fix your relationship. Now, who am I? I'm just some dude. I happen to be a guy who's done some dating coaching since about 2006. So I'm a long-term dating guy. I've been dumped probably more than anybody on the planet. I have a lot of experience with this. And through that experience, I've been able to gain some insight on regular patterns and how to fix those patterns while the relationship is on its, downhill slide. So today we're going to talk about that. Hopefully I can do a good job of it. I'm going to one take it. I'm not very good at editing, so here we go. By the way, our goal in all of this is to strengthen our relationship, strengthen the team framework between myself and my relationship partner, right? So that we can go on and I can lead my relationship towards us being a better team and to us being happy, and most importantly, to you as the man having peace and calmness in your life. So let's see if we can get that done today. Now, first thing that we have to talk about is what happens when you have, and probably the only thing we really need to talk about is what happens and how do you deal with an issue, okay? Women always have issues, and it seems like they rape your peace by introducing these issues at the most inadvertent times when you don't want to deal with it. Generally, the approach of most guys is to try to just act to maintain peace and just, oh my goodness, just do whatever she wants. But I'm going to show you today how this can be a terrible decision, okay? Generally, our patterns are going to be a few different things that are going to happen. We're going to have an issue, and then there's going to be fighting as a result of that issue. The issue's coming from the woman when you don't expect it. And then there's going to be a result, right, from that fight, right? And that result is going to determine how the future looks for you and your mate. Excuse me. Bubbly water. So, all right, so again, we've got the issue, comes when you don't expect it. There's some fighting, and then you get a result from that, right? And then over time, the results of these fights are generally establishment of who is wearing the pants in your relationship. In other words, are you in the dominant position as the man, or is she in the dominant position as the woman? Now, I would argue that if you were in the submissive position as a man, and the woman is allowed to constantly rape your peace and have issues over and over, and you're just handling them to keep the peace, this is what causes most guys' relationship demise. You just act, just happy wife, happy life. Man, if I could just do whatever she wants, maybe she'll go away. And then the woman's going to lose respect for you, predictably, right? You're in the submissive position. Your fighting continues. Your value to her in the relationship drops until finally you are all the way in the dirt. She doesn't value you, and she ends up divorcing you. This is the most common thing I see. Now, there's another thing that can happen where if you're a dominant guy, you just dominate no matter what the problem is. And that's what we call an asshole, right? That's a guy who is in an uncalibrated way, just hitting everything on the hammer no matter what. Nobody likes to be around those guys, and it's because we all know that there's something going wrong and you can't just always dominate things, right? So what we're talking about here is we're talking about the ability of a man to have calibration, to decide when you have an issue, to recognize the issue, to determine whether or not the issue is legit or not legit, and then how do we go from there? We got to respond appropriately, right? So let's start to gain some resolution in how we figure out what these issues are and how we should handle them as men so that we can maintain our peace and fight for our ability to take the lead in our relationships, okay? All right, now let's say that we have our first issue. Boom, it's an issue, okay? I want you, when you have an issue come at you, to try to determine in your mind, is this issue shit, BS, or is this a legit relationship issue, okay? If you've determined that this is a legit issue, The easiest thing that most guys can do are find a solution, work on the solution, calmly listen, make a solution. We're great at that, right? Most guys are all great at that. That's somewhat of a submissive way to go about things, is to go, oh, what's the issue? And listen, validate the issue by listening, and then go through the talking process there. But most guys are good at that. That's not the problem, okay? The problem comes when we are in the state of losing respect in our relationship, losing fights, and then the woman, her issue is more about dominance and submission in the relationship, who's wearing the pants in the relationship, and less about a legit concern. This is where I think that most guys mess up, okay? Like we said before, if you're a guy who encounters an issue, I like that, encounters an issue, when she's raping your peace by attacking you, if you back down, act to keep the peace, become submissive, right? The woman starts to feel like she's in the dominant position in the relationship, like you're not the man, you're not her rock, you're not the guy. And then the fighting continues until, you're just like, I'll just do anything. I'll just do anything. And then before you know it, you've lost her respect and you've lost her attraction and divorce happens. It's 100% going to happen, in my opinion, when you are in the submissive position in your relationship. Now, dominance isn't domineering, and I'm not saying you should dominate every situation. But what I am saying is that when the issue is BS and it's not a legit issue, then you should respond for sure with dominance. Okay? Again, I'm going to say that again. It's really important. When the issue is more BS than legit, you should respond with dominance to maintain your dominant stance in the relationship and let her know it's not okay to rape your peace in the relationship. Okay? In that way, we can establish or maintain our dominance, our wearing the pants in the relationship, and we can lead our team of you and your partner, the team. You can lead your team to happiness and towards peace. That strengthens your relationship. Does that make sense? Okay. So the tricky part is that most women always act like they demand a submission. Okay? They always act like they demand a submission, and they do it, boom, right now when you're not ready for it. You're not thinking about it. It just comes at you, boom, it's an attack. Okay? So again, it's your job to stand up for yourself when the concern is BS, when the concern is about your and her interpersonal dominance, right? And kind of back down and assess the situation when we have a more legit concern, okay? This is how I think that guys are losing their relationships, this inability to discern between a BS and a legit concern, and then decide, oh, this isn't about a real concern, this is about a pencil, or this is about something ridiculous. This must not be about that real issue that she says is real. This is more about our dynamics, about her and I, okay? So when it is about that dominance and submissive aspect between you two, it is important that you fight back, and that you fight back calmly and assertively, okay? Now, there are going to be times when your fight has elements of both, right? Elements of a legit concern, elements of dominance and submission between you and your wife, or you and your relationship partner. Who's wearing the pants, right? Now, those can be a little bit more tricky. Like in those instances, you're going to have to deal with both concerns, both the dominance aspect and the legit concern aspect, right? So like, let's say, for example, your wife scolds you for not taking out the trash. I'm sure that would never happen to any of us, but if you don't take out the trash and she scolds you for not taking out the trash, there's a couple problems with that. There's a legit concern. You didn't take out the trash. Not a big deal. Cool, I'll take out the trash. But if she scolds you while asking you to take out the trash, that's a lot different than saying, oh, babe, I think you might have forgot the trash. You mind taking it out today? Right? That's a nice tone. It sounds gentle. Man, I just want to take out the trash. I don't know about you. I want to take out the trash right now. Babe, would you please take out the trash? I got to run out the door. Can you take the trash out? That's awesome. Great. Good job. I love her. But if it's like, hey, I told you to take out the trash, right? She's got some scolding tone. We all know the tone. I'm sure you're likely picturing it now or listening to it in your head now the way it sounds from your significant other. I'm sure she's a treasure. They're all treasures, aren't they? So the scolding part would also have to be this is a very easy example. The scolding part would also have to be addressed, right? So how would we deal with a very simple thing where we're getting scolded for taking out the trash? What you might do is correct her tone about the way she says that. And you could do that gently. You know, if it was the 100th time she's done it and she won't back down, then that's a different response. But the first time you encounter something like that, I like to do something gently. I like to say, oh, excuse me, babe. Like, let's say she's really scolding you hard. I might say, sorry, babe, I think I heard you say something like, and then I will insert the tone that I want her to use with me. So I'll say, I think what you meant to say was, you know, Jake, could you please, pretty please take the trash out? Is that what I heard? I think I heard that, right? And this is like one very gentle way of correcting your significant other's tone, right? When you find that tone unacceptable in gravity for the, you know, or unacceptable for the gravity of the concern, right? If it's just taking the trash out, you don't have to be scolded for that, right? So this is a very simple example, but one way that I can show you that there are two parts to handle sometimes in the conversations. All right. So I think that is about what I have to talk about today. This is a pretty like intro way to talk about all this stuff. You know, to just barely introduce the decisions that you have to start making if you're going to be a guy who keeps your relationship. But I believe that this is the most important thing you can do to save your relationship. And I think you should start, maybe watch this video again. I tried to do this on my whiteboard behind me, and I couldn't figure out a way to get the camera to work, so we got this video. But anyway, wrapping things up again, BS or legit? And what do you do? What you don't want to do is act submissively when the concern is about dominance, and you don't want to act dominant when the concern is legit, right? Those continue fighting in your relationship and continue the downward path. So, thanks for watching today. Again, my name's Jake, and I'd like to remind you that dominance is not domineering. Thanks for watching.